Among the tales of old, there are many stories of great heroes and valiant triumphs. Legendary figures who save the world and claim their fate. Not everyone is so lucky to be living in that fairy tale. Humanity has long sought greater purpose, and in that pursuit, learned the harsh lesson of mortality. 20 years ago, my world bore witness to the beginning of the Blight. It was unlike anything we had ever seen, rapidly engulfing all it could find. Possessions, places, people. Nothing was spared. There have been many attempts to rectify the Blight. Safe to say, all of them failures. The mystery of it all has left people wandering. I've watched many driven to madness or worse, driven to hope. I have seen many heroes rush to the front lines, combating the curse where they can find it. Most I never see again. The huddled masses look to the city of Greyhawk for reprieve from their blighted world. It is amongst them I hope to find our saviors. And I pray, for all of our sakes, this time is different.
Hi, welcome to Project Crit. My name is Joseph, and I'm beyond honored to be your dungeon master for this story. Joining me in this adventure into the accursed unknown are our wonderful UTA students and players. Hello.
Hi.
We are so excited to get going, so we're just going to jump right in with our characters as they are in this world. Amongst those masses, we have one curious rabbit in particular, packing their bags and running through a checklist. In the moment you have before you have to go grab Pygmaeus and head off to Longing Dawn, what is Valdove doing? And would you mind describing your character?
Valdove Adcarden is a researcher at the Greyhawk Institute for the Arcane. Now, her main focus had been Dryadology, so she's now in an old Dryadology classroom that has long been out of use, everything having been redirected to the Blight. And she is looking through her highly illegal research, trying to make sure there are no traces left of it. When she does find little lead-lined bottles that are full of blighted substances that she had yet to dispose of, she tucks them away in a cabinet and she places down a glyph. She's running through a checklist, making sure everything is done. She has all of the things that she needs, her spellbook included, and with that, she takes a moment to look around and go, yeah, well, I think that's about it. All the vials are put away or disposed of. I've set up my glyph here. I've got one more put on the door. Nobody comes down here anyway. I was pretty much the only Dryadology researcher within the last couple of years, so I think I'll...
As you pack away your highly illegal research, you kind of tuck the last bits into the corners of secrecy and finish up packing your bags. You know that upstairs is your research partner, big friend that you've had out in the field, Pygmaeus, who is currently also packing up. Do you head straight to him, or are you kind of still finishing up down here in the basement?
So she grabs the rest of her things, her spellbook, some adventuring field research equipment, and places that last glyph on the door, on the back side of a paper that says, "Do not enter."
Fair enough.
And with that, she shuts the door and walks to Pygmaeus.
All right, you head up these stairs of this institute. These halls have long done great research for Greyhawk and the surrounding area, now often used as a home base for those trying to look into the Blight. You head upstairs where you find essentially what are the dorms, the rooms where people stay in this place. And as you knock on the door and it is opened, we see a man with ginger hair on the other side packing up their bags. What is Pygmaeus doing in the moments leading up to this, as well as would you describe your character?
Sure. Pygmaeus is an old man. Strangely enough, though, his hair is not as old as you would think. It's ginger, it is bright. But Pygmaeus right now is kind of lost in thought as he almost instinctively packs everything where it needs to be. His workstation is being tidied up, and in his mind, he thinks of when he first arrived in Greyhawk. And him being a refugee and having to live in Greyhawk in the slums. But eventually, as he worked his way up and as he was known to be a good researcher, someone who is very quick, is very thorough in the field, he was trusted enough to be brought on as full-time. But in this moment, his thoughts wander off to when he was young, much younger, when he first had to leave his mother behind. He thinks of the last conversation he had with her and how it still lingers in his mind.
I think as all of that is racing through your mind, these kind of thoughts colliding into each other, that's when you hear the gentle knock on the door of the...
Yes, coming.
Pygmaeus, we got you about ready to go?
Yeah, just finishing things up. And as Pygmaeus puts the last of his books and vials into his bag, he adjusts his fez, red with a yellow tassel, puts on his glasses, and says, "Right. I think it's safe to say whether we come back from this journey or not, things will not be the same."
Right, well, let's hope for the best now. She's pretty twitchy. She's a jackrabbit, so she's like...
Yeah. Very
like to leave.
harrowed. You two gather your stuff, take off from the Institute towards the Longing Dawn, where we will meet up with Laurel later. In an entirely different environment, we have a boat on the rocky waves of a blighted sea. These sections of tendrils that have kind of floated to the surface, almost like lily pads that spread out over the ocean. As they've made their way into the river that passes by Hardby towards Greyhawk, we see a single boat gently drifting along, and on top of it, we see you, Kai. Would you go ahead and like to describe your character?
Kai is currently sitting in a lotus position. He looks like he's meditating. He is a young man. He looks like a young man, maybe early 20s. Long wavy hair that reaches his shoulder. He wears a headdress that is wrapped around like a turban.
Yeah.
Dark skin. His eyes are closed and he's breathing in and out rhythmically. And with each exhalation, you see a smoke shoots out with glistening starlight that forms into a cloud that he is sitting on that surrounds him. The cloud you see turns into appendages and limbs that are carrying different smithing equipments, and you see that in front of him is an anvil and these cloud-like limbs hammering away. He breathes in and out to the rhythm of the hammering, and he finds himself every now and then flickering his head, remembering and seeing visions of people that have passed, visions of bodies that have been blighted.
I mean, as a blight warden, you are responsible for helping dispose of some of these more dangerous bodies that have passed away in the walls of Greyhawk and getting them as far as possible into the sea. As you're sitting there meditating, the kind of calmness spreading over you, you hear a voice kind of almost slam into your head as you hear a, "Hey kid, don't want me to write those reports?"
Fuck the gods, why are you so loud in my head?
We're telepathic. I can be as loud as I'd like.
Quiet down. Just a tiny bit, please.
Fine.
This is my last bit of peace before Greyhawk, Greyhawk, Greyhawk.
I know that it isn't like where we'd like to have ended up, but it's where we are. And you think on the bright side, kid, you have a decent job here. You have opportunities and resources, but you're not going to have that if you don't fill out the paperwork for this body we just disposed of.
You know, I have heard of a technique done by some of the artificers here that are allow them to shut down the telepathic bond between their servants.
Well, I think that's just excessive. We don't have to go that far. I mean,
Also, why can't you write it down? You're the one that taught me how to read and write.
it's important that we practice the small things so we can get the big things right, Kai.
And he gets up, grabs the paper, and he starts writing down as the ship moves towards the city of Greyhawk.
As the ship continues to move towards the city of Greyhawk, the water calms down, going from the large open ocean of the Woolly Bay to the smaller river that leads towards the ports of Greyhawk. It will not be long before you arrive and dock, before you head off to meet with some old acquaintances, people you've never really been close to, but that you at least know of for your next task. From there, we kind of go further into the city. We see as the bustling streets that are overcrowded are overtaken by people just trying their best to survive in what's left of this world. Amongst all of that, we see these kind of refugees that are moving about, signs that we are not in the best of times. Another sign of that is the general wear that you see on the world at this point. Greyhawk has been worn down. Amongst Greyhawk and its larger area, we have one small room where inside we see Arya. Would you describe your character?
Yeah, she is 5'6", late 30s, early 40s. She looks tired, as if she's been juggling a million tasks for the past 4 billion years, right? She's packing things away. It's a gentle process.
Yeah.
She's very careful with every single item.
Yes.
She is very delicate with the things that she owns. There are not many, admittedly. It's just a small bag that she has to carry with her. Her tail swings behind her as she gets things ready. She is a tiefling. Black horns coming up from her forehead, long whitish purple hair that goes down to about mid-back when put up in a high ponytail. She's just padding around on bare feet, getting things ready.
I think as you are there packing your bags, getting things ready, your tail kind of swinging behind you, you feel your tail hit something very gently, and then you feel a tug on the back of your cloak as you just hear a, Miss Arya, when are you going to be back?
I'm sorry. You know, I do not know. I will try to be back as soon as possible.
When you fully turn around, you see this small half-elf child, maybe no more than about 3 feet tall, as they are wearing kind of these somewhat worn clothes. You've done your best to keep them as tidy as possible, but there's still that level of unkemptness that any child running amok may get. They also have bare feet that kind of gently hits the stone as they were running up to you, and their kind of shaggy brown hair falls just past their ears. As they look up to you, those large eyes kind of gazing into yours, you hear a, but all the other people aren't as fun. They just kind of tell me what to do, and I have to sit around waiting.
I know. And I do promise that I will be back as soon as possible. You know I love you and all of your sisters and brothers.
Will you bring me a souvenir?
Of course. Although I'm not sure how much I will find outside of Greyhawk. But
I want a rock.
you want a rock?
A rock.
What
Like
color?
a really round one.
A really round
A
one.
very round rock.
Like a river rock. One that you could like skip across the water.
I guess. I just want a round rock.
I will find you the perfect rock.
Thank you. As that is happening, you feel the presence of someone else kind of enter the space. Just at the doorway where the kid had come from, you see a figure, this kind of tall, kind of lanky elven woman with long hair that goes all the way to her waist, kind of left to tangle and kind of get caught in itself. as she walks around the corner, you can see her kind of like lean into the frame. As she does so, she gives you this look that you immediately know is like a come here. As you walk over, she kind of looks at you and she goes, well, I'm glad you are conversing with the children when you have such an important task ahead of you, Arya.
Yes, well, I believe that a little bit of respite will not hurt me, since I am going outside of Greyhawk.
I believe that we are yet to see whether or not you've earned that respite, Arya. I know you think we are being tough on you, but it is for a good reason. This is important. You know how important it is to us. Our faith requires that we keep on this path.
I understand. I will not fail to put on that foot.
Good. I would hope so. We are yet to see if that will be true, though. I hope to see you back, and if not, well, that's just all right. As she kind of stares these daggers into you, she turns around before taking a step forward, looking back to you, and you can see that like the next phrase is caught in her throat. She doesn't want to say it as much as she is obligated to, and she's kind of, you can tell she's waiting to see if you will say it first or if she must come forward.
With kind of gritted teeth and like a bowed head. Goes, may the earth underneath your feet guide your path.
May the earth underneath your feet guide your path, Arya. And she kind of slips off. As you are getting ready to go and leave the commune, you are handed a piece of paper. As that is happening, there's another attendant here in the commune kind of hands it to you and kind of goes, this is, I believe, the flyer that you're looking for, just so you know what you're getting into. Grab that. Let's see. I have a lot of stuff back here. You're going to have to give me a moment.
First handout!
I'm going to hand this to you, Dewa.
Gimme. Oh my goodness. It is so cool. I can open it, right?
Yeah, you can open it.
Okay.
As they hand it to you and kind of go, just so you are fully aware of what is expected of you when you get to your destination. Might be a little hard to open.
Yeah, it is a little hard to open. It is very pretty, but
The wax.
I don't want to rip it.
If you rip it, it's okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
I don't want to keep this.
Exactly.
Souvenir.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh my.
You were handed what essentially looks like a quest flyer that's been kind of wrapped up and given to you all. As the attendant hands it to you, and just kind of goes, "May the earth guide you. Good luck." They don't quite meet your gaze when they say it. From there, as we kind of pull back and you are left to walk the streets of Greyhawk barefoot towards your destination, we find another person in a not quite so desolate position, but in one that is not the greatest at the end of the day. Zooming into the Greyhawk's main jail, we find a elven woman sitting inside of a cell, kind of with a look of unexpected glee that you may not see from most prisoners. May you describe your character?
Natalia is a fair-skinned elven woman with long, russet hair with a slight curl in it. She has brown eyes, and she's lounged back as comfortably as she can be in this cell. Despite being there for quite a moment, she still looks impeccable. Her eye coal is still sharp. It's probably the only thing she was able to sneak in. And she is just... She's the cat that caught the bird right now. She is rearing and ready, and she's sitting there singing out this jaunty little tune, as she does like almost every day, but this is a different day.
Yes. Very different day indeed for Natalia. that tune, as it kind of echoes through the hall, you hear the sound of footsteps, these kind of like heavy, almost metallic footsteps kind of clanking against stone as they get closer. You can tell they're still a bit away, but what do they hear as they approach the cell?
As she hears the footsteps, she would just go slightly louder in her volume, but she'd be lounged back. Oh, I dream of my lady, she'd meet me on the outside, soft in her silks, skin kissed by sunshine. Oh, wayfarer, wayfarer, the cage bird doesn't sing of woe. Oh, wayfarer, wayfarer, those bars aren't your burden alone. Oh, wayfarer, wayfarer, the cage bird doesn't know of woe. Oh, wayfarer,
Oh, enough! You hear from down the hall. As they are kind of coming down, you hear the footsteps finally get to just around the corner, and you hear them say, enough with these blasted songs. We've heard them 1,000,000 times.
Well, forgive me for trying to lighten the mood. It's desperately drab in here. Look across the
That's
way.
the
You look like
point,
you've got no
Natalia.
balance
You're
about
in a
things.
prison.
Oh,
As they kind of look
only
at you,
my body, not my voice.
they kind of look at you as they're kind of messing with some keys on their ring and try and go, you know, as terrible as it is that you've won, we are glad to be rid of you. We cannot take this anymore. As they kind of finish up ginning through their keys, they take the largest one and kind of insert it into the lock that is on your cell. After a moment and a few thuds and clanks, you hear the metal of the bars shift and scrape against the stone in the most unpleasant sound you've heard. As it finally opens up just enough for you to leave, the guard steps back, clearly leaving it inconvenient for you to pass through the door, but just enough to where you can do so anyway. They kind of look at you and kind of go, all right, just follow me. We're gonna go to where you can get your equipment and then finally get out of our hair.
Ah, thank the gods.
They take you down this hallway, kind of leading you through these winding corridors of the various cells here. Noticeably, many are empty, at least in the area that you're in. But eventually you find your way to this kind of small enclosed room that is almost airlocked in, where there are 2 locked doors on either side. As he unlocks the first and guides you in, relocks it, you see that there are essentially cubbies behind him with various bags and satchels of things. They start kind of bringing stuff off the shelves and putting it on the table between you two and opening them. Inside, you can see them like checking various things before putting it in front of you and kind of going, all right, there's the excess clothes, equipment. I believe this is some kind of instrument. I don't know. At least you cannot play it around me. As
Shame
they
for you.
finish up handing your stuff, what does Natalia look like? What are they visually seen as when they finally have all their equipment back and ready with them?
She is just kind of like bursting with pride. She's got her head held high. She's making sure that every movement is so precise and graceful. Everything is a performance as it's been since she got there, but especially now. This is her
Yes.
closing number here. And she is just, going through, oh, Gregory, how I will miss our little chats.
Oh, yes. Sure that you will.
And that angry eyebrow of yours with such conviction.
Yes. Well, the only other thing that we have for you is this letter that you were given from your proprietor. It has nothing more than an address for what I believe is, and then he kind of like checks a small map that he has in front of him and goes, yes, the Longing Dawn Inn should be on the south side of Greyhawk.
Right. Well, darling, as fun as it's been, I'd say next time you see me, turn around.
I really hope to have to never see you again. As he kind of goes to the other door on the other side of the room, unlocks it, and opens it, there you see, for the first time in a bit, kind of open space that leads into what is essentially the front office of the station. You see these doors at the very end that currently open out into fresh and open air, and you can kind of see the sun just barely sprinkling through the windows, kind of dotting the ground in front of you. The first kind of free frame that you've seen in at least a few weeks. As you exit out and get onto the streets of Greyhawk, you are reminded of how overcrowded and packed in it is. People are bumping shoulder to shoulder. They are struggling to get where they are, especially in these kind of like just before noon hours when it's at its busiest. Greyhawk is a sea of people flooding to their next destination. You head off towards the Longing Dawn, and it is there where we find the next step of our adventure. The Longing Dawn is not anything particularly special. It is a inn and tavern on the south side of Greyhawk that is known to be reliable and trustworthy, but nothing fancy. Its exterior is not ornately decorated. There is no gold lining or trim. It is just a simple wood and stone building meant to stand the test of time. There, as we look inside, we see a relatively empty space. I mean, it's a little bit before noon. You're not going to find the party crowd out just yet. But what we do see is getting there first is this kind of bird of paradise, one that we have previously seen on Kai's boat, kind of just gently fly into one of the open windows. What does your bird do as it arrives at the Longing Dawn?
Immediately when it arrives, it tries to find the location that they're supposed to meet up with. It flies above to make sure that it doesn't hit any of the people around, but it is looking, and because Kai is Kai, it is looking for which of these individuals seems to have the least of awareness while also having the most things to take before it flies down to the booth. And then because Kai is about a mile away, it starts telling Kai exactly which of the people he would probably like.
For our first roll of the campaign, can you give me a perception check using your bird stats?
No way, dude.
May I use your...
Mine?
Do you need to say this?
Yes, actually.
Here, give me one. I have about 1 million back here. Here you go. Teach me.
Oh my god.
There we go.
I don't like your guy.
What'd you get?
They
on
don't
the
like you either.
Yeah, fuck you guys. That is a 4.
An omen of things to come.
It wasn't that one.
That was that
Ooh,
one.
that's even worse.
I will say,
God damn.
my
I will
gosh.
say, it kind of makes sense. He is not a thief. Kai is.
True. As your bird is kind of looking around, Kai is doing his best to kind of guide it in the direction it wants. But your bird is a little stubborn as it just kind of barely looks around, just kind of taking the minimal amount of information it could possibly give you.
No, but that's not right. You have to look for the... Okay.
Your bird settles down into one of the booths, kind of still just keeping eye out. As it is there, we see the doors kind of swing open a little bit and steps in Arya, who has arrived next here to the Longing Dawn. As you step inside, you don't see anyone, you don't see the hooded figure in the corner of the tavern that's obviously a quest NPC. But you're looking around and you realize you've gotten here a bit early, it seems. What does Arya do in that time?
She is very much the type of person to hurry up and wait. Unfortunately, she is fully kitted out at the moment. Her halberd, probably half a foot larger than she is, on her back. As she walks up, and she's probably just gonna go to the bar and ask for a water.
Go to the bar, ask for a water. The kind of barkeep, this dwarven man that's kind of sitting back there, you can look over a little bit and you can see that there's a raised platform that runs on the backside of the bar, clearly that he's to step on to walk the length of it. But as he's looking at you, he goes, "All right, suit yourself." As he kind of reaches down, grabs a water, fills it up, and hands it to you. As you're sitting there waiting at the bar.
Well, she doesn't sit.
Oh, correct.
She does not sit.
She stands. Not far behind his bird, we do see Kai come into the tavern. Now, I will say, Greyhawk is very full of people, but most are commoners. So you can pretty easily tell when another hero, adventure, whatever you would like to call yourselves, walks into a place, unless it truly is kind of like an Adventurers Guild where everyone there is kind of kitted out. Like right now, when you look around Aria, you see mostly people in plain clothes, some workers' uniforms. You see people in like overalls that have clearly had a hard day's work at the beginning of the day for farmhands. But walking through the door, you see someone fully also kitted out as Kai steps in. What does Kai do as he enters the bar and finally reunites with the bird?
Right. First thing he does is he tries to do what the bird failed to do and look for potential people to take from. I think he would actually clock you immediately.
Yeah.
And
She does have the 6-foot-tall halberd
Yeah,
on her back.
yeah.
Especially with
Clocks
a passive perception of 13, I mean, it's not that hard to notice.
Yeah, and then he'll call out to the bird and says, Akusti, giant minotaur-like lady, giant house.
She just got here.
Why are you sitting there?
You see the bird is like fully sitting in a booth, like chilling, both wings on the table.
Oh, on the dinner table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wing gestures over. She just got here. What do you want me to do?
Get her to the table where we're all supposed to find each other.
You hear like a sigh in your head. Just, kind of flies over towards you, Arya. As you're sitting there, you see the bird kind of land on the bar counter in front of you as you're standing there, and literally just raise a wing to the side, gesturing towards the booth.
Thank you. And she'll probably extend her hand to offer,
A ride.
yeah, a ride.
Would Gusty accept? Yeah, Gusty would kind of hop on.
He'll actually shake that.
Yeah, the wing comes out, and then hops on.
Awesome.
As you walk over towards the booth, and I assume you kind of settle down with it. You two don't have long alone before immediately after you all, two more figures walk the bar. These two, fairly noticeable, or at least one of them, as a man with ginger hair and a fez, followed by a, how tall are you again?
5'2".
A 5'2" tall jackrabbit woman walk into the Longing Dawn, where you two don't necessarily see them sitting in the booth, but you do see the halberd.
So I bet that's where we're supposed to go, because that ain't even my moonbow ain't that tall.
She would not sit unless asked.
Good
to.
note.
So she would
you're
be
just kinda,
standing right
chilling
outside.
near the chilling near the booth.
Yes.
Oh my, are you sure we have to interact with them?
I think mayors don't be like that.
No. I don't mean it like that. I just meant we are people of science and they might not understand our perception. Are you sure? Do you have on record who they are? Maybe a name?
I mean, you're right.
Now, I will say, you all vaguely know of each other. Like, you've never really interacted before, for the most part. But, like, you've heard maybe a description or two of each other, depending on your connections, as you all know.
I think that as Veldov spots Arya specifically, she kind of. Now you're right. You're right.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
She's
It's
a
all
very
right.
noticeable presence, and
Yeah.
also is barefoot in a tavern.
My dear, do you understand what kinds of things go on the floor of a tavern? I promise you, if you have seen it or known, you would not be barefoot right now.
I appreciate your concern. I am aware.
Right.
Kai speaks up and goes, who the fuck starts a conversation like that? Sit down, sit down.
My goodness, I mean no offense. I meant it in good faith. But thank you for the invitation.
Veldov's ears kind of like quirk over towards Kaya. She hears his voice and she's already kind of gotten oh shit look on her face.
Yeah.
But that's just how she is. But it gets worse. She's like, I think we're at the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, as Valdove is clearly getting a little more and more unsettled, the last person to walk in the bar is none other than the just released on bail, Natalia, as you, I assume, saunter into the bar.
She saunters in. She's still singing her little song. She just takes a glance around, and she sees this table of a bunch of people. And she goes,
I bet that's where I'm supposed to be. But also, none of them look like they have the power to get me out of jail. So, she would take another look to see if she can kind of gleam where this person who's just sprung her.
Can you go and give me a perception check?
Perception. 15.
15. With that perception check, and Pygmaeus, with your passive perception, both of you two hear the sounds of footsteps coming down wooden stairs. The Longing Dawn is a 2-story inn, with the first being the kind of bar and restaurant area, and the second being just a handful of rooms for people to stay the night. What happens is, as you're kind of peeking up your ears, trying to hear for anything different, you hear the sounds of footsteps kind of falling onto the stone, or onto the wood, as someone is making their way downstairs. You guys start seeing a person in fairly plain clothing come to view that has a kind of like a small satchel of various scrolls and parchments hanging at their hip, as well as you can see as they come down this medium length graying salt and pepper hair and these kind of fairly round spectacles that kind of rest gently on their nose. This is, for those of you who do not know, and just for those little bit of spoilers, is Finn, the person who has contacted you all for the most part, or you've reached out to be a part of this. You, at least, Valdo, and probably Pygmaeus to some degree, have heard the name on research papers from the Institute of the Arcane, but never met the man in person. It's like knowing an alumni from a decade ago. This kind of somewhat older looking half-elf or human man, it's hard to tell until he fully comes down and you see what looks like mostly human features. The salt and pepper graying hair that is kind of pushed back as best as possible out of his face, with just a few strands falling onto the forehead. Those round spectacles landing gently on the nose, on top of what is this kind of lightly tanned skin that you can clearly tell is not his normal complexion, but instead a tan from being out in the sun to some degree. As he makes his way downstairs, you can see he is looking around, spots you, who has just walked into the Longing Dawn, and he kind of goes, he looks around, sees everyone else, and gestures for you to join them for now. As he kind of reaches into his satchel, pulls out a few things, and starts fiddling through some notebooks that he has. You all gather around as he kind of makes his way down the stairs, around the corner, and to you all's booth. He looks, sees there's like very little room left, and kind of just grabs a chair from nearby and pulls it up. As he's doing so, he kind of goes, "Thank you all for meeting me here. I know it's not everyone's favorite inn, but it's been reliable for me." As he pulls up a chair, sets it down at the booth, and kind of goes, "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I've already briefly met you, Talia, but thank you for coming along anyway. As for the rest of you, introductions, of course. I don't need to know your life story, just who you are."
Velda Vadakaran. I work in the field on the blight research, so.
Great, wonderful. And you?
Pongo Pygmaeus, but do not call me Pongo.
You see Finn kind of goes like, "Understood. I will not be calling you that, Pygmaeus."
Thank you.
Looks over towards you. You're kind of like almost at his side as you're not quite in the booth, and he kind of looks towards you and kind of goes, "And you?"
Alia. It's a pleasure.
Oh yeah, pleasure to make your acquaintance. Quite a big halberd there.
She has been very helpful in my journeys.
Hopefully will serve you. And he lastly looks towards you.
Kai Kancil, and this here is Guru Gusti, is a friend of mine.
Looks towards the bird. Now, I will ask, is your bird look like a homunculus at all, or is it just kind of a plain bird?
It looks like a bird of paradise.
Okay.
It's just, his eyes do glisten a bit, so it's very obvious that it's magical.
Magical to some
but
degree.
it looks a bit.
He looks at you and kind of goes, "Well, wonderful. Pleasure to make you all's acquaintance. I know this was a bit of a last-minute thing, but I'm glad that you all could meet me here. I don't have much for you all besides what we've already discussed or you've seen on the kind of flyers that I've been putting out. I do have a few extra notes for you all, and in case you all have any questions for me, I'm able to answer a few of them. Obviously, as you all know, the blight is only getting worse. Especially as researchers, you must be aware that things are not great. But I have reason to believe that I have some kind of way to help things, though it requires that I have a crew get out to a place called, I don't know if any of you are aware of it, Prometheus Tower. It's out in the Lort Mill Mountains. If any of you would like to make a history check on what you may know.
Yeah.
I will say you two probably have a slightly lower DC, but not quite advantage.
That is a 19.
19? Okay.
Ari's not even gonna try.
Fair enough.
15.
15?
Natalia got a 7, but that track she wasn't really good at school, so.
Fair enough.
You
So,
said history, right?
history,
Okay. That's a 10, unfortunately.
unfortunately. So, Natalia and Pygmaeus. As you kind of rack your brains for a minute, like he's listing out these things, these locations, and you're trying to like figure it out. You don't really know much of these. You know the Lort Mill Mountains. They're a mountain range southwest of Greyhawk, but they're decently far away. I mean, they're not like a long journeys away, but they're not next door. You don't really know the region. You know, like, of the kind of broad area around Greyhawk, but nothing he's saying is really ringing a bell.
She knows she was probably told about it one time, but she definitely was not listening.
Probably not paying attention.
No, I believe in my journey I've heard of such a place, but I'm sorry, but it seems like it escapes me. However, the name is not strange to me.
Before we get there, what did you two roll on your die again?
I had a 15.
15,
19.
and 19. We'll start with you then. Especially as someone in research, there were key outposts for research amongst the Greyhawk and the Arcane all over the place around Greyhawk. Now, it's unknown what happens at each exact location unless you were privy to the information there, like if you were on a research journey out there or if you would work on papers that had come from there. But the various towers and research bunkers that are around Greyhawk, Prometheus Tower is, as far as you know, just another one of those. You're not quite certain what they were researching out there, but you know it was a research station to some degree. With the 19, your time as a sailor, as a pirate, whatever you would be called, or whatever people may call you, Prometheus Tower has not come up, but the Lort Mill Mountains have. And especially as someone shipping things, you know that Lort Mill Mountains were a very prosperous mining region for most of Greyhawk. It's where they got a lot of their most common resources, especially the metals that were used to kind of construct the walls of Greyhawk have a slight magical property to them that kind of helps repel negative magic. That was all mined in the Lort Mill Mountains and shipped to Greyhawk. So you know the Lort Mill Mountains are deactive now, not only due to blight, but because they've kind of been run dry of most of their resources. But they were a very important kind of arcane mine to some degree. So that's what you all know just from kind of memory. But you ask the name, what about it? Well, Finn would actually say, oh, what about the name? What are you curious about?
Now, as I understand it, there used to be a research station there. However,
You don't know that.
he's heard of the name. So as a researcher, he knows something about it.
No, that's Valdova that knows
That's
that.
Valdova. you said
Yes.
that. Okay, not both of us.
Yeah. So you would know the name of the Lort Mill Mountains, but not quite Prometheus Tower.
Now, I believe in my journeys throughout the Greyhawk region, I've heard of some tell, but forgive me if my memory escapes me, that location specifically,
Yes.
you expect us to climb all the way up?
Well, I just need you all to get to the tower. I believe there's something on the top floor, or it could be the bottom. I'm not exactly fully sure nowadays. But there's something in the tower that, to cut right to the chase, it is something called the Sumerian Orb. It is this, I don't know how much to describe it to you all except for a magical item that I believe will serve a great purpose in helping us remedy the blight. I can't disclose everything. As you two are well aware, research must be held close to the chest until it is complete. But it's important, nonetheless. Now, I don't need you all to retrieve it. I just need to mark its location, and then I will do my best to get there. But essentially, I need a path cleared, and I need to confirm that it is there, that is still around in the first place.
My brother in science, you chose me, the man who needs a stick to walk, to climb up there.
I kind of put the word out amongst the academic circles, and you two seemed quite interested, so I will leave that to you all, how you all deal with that.
Hey, don't look at me.
You didn't mention there were 7,000 steps up to the mountain of, not.
Why are you even a field researcher?
If it makes you feel better, as far as I'm aware, Prometheus Tower is only 4 stories.
Right.
I am also by people who live only the west.
Well, okay.
As you say that, Finn kind of takes a moment and is clearly like, but as he looks back at you, he kind of goes, to get to the Lortma Mountains and to Prometheus Tower, there are some semblances of path that will get you closer. Nowhere is safe, obviously beyond the walls of Greyhawk, but there are 2 main routes that you could potentially take that I would maybe suggest. The first is more dangerous, it has far more risk, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I would recommend this one as much, but going through Hardby and going through the Woolly Bay in order to get to Elred, and then getting to the Lortma Mountains from there may be a viable path, though, as I said, I don't recommend it. It is particularly bad in the Woolly Bay, as I'm not sure if you all are aware, but even now, especially in the current season, it's not good. Can you give me a nature check, Kai?
DM,
Mm-hmm.
with Pygmaeus' journey throughout the region,
Yes.
would he know anything about these places?
So these are all land or ocean-based places, so not quite.
That is a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. You know what he's talking about. It's not often conversed about amongst people that are not sailors or merchants, but right now is essentially the start of spring. The issue with that is in this world that as the blight consumes vegetation, it grows faster, and in spring when vegetation can grow faster, so does the blight. And so the oceans are particularly bad as that stuff, or the blight that has caught into vegetation near Greyhawk must be cut away and disposed of into the Woolly Bay as far as possible. So there's even more blight out in the sea right now. So as he continues on with that, he kind of goes, so I don't know if I'd recommend going to the Woolly Bay, though it is an option if you all feel like you must take the sea. The other option, for those of you who are more land-based, and the one I may recommend, is to travel the, I won't say safe, but at least known paths by land. There are paths that will take you through the gnarly forest, beyond Narwell, and by Badwall until you reach Elred. Both these paths converge to the city of Elred, or what is left of it. Out there, you will find Aurora. She's the best scout I know, and she knows the core wood better than anyone else. She will have the best information possible for you before you continue on your journey in the core wood into the Lortma Mountains. Beyond Elred, though, there are no paths. There will be no reprieve, no safety. The blight has consumed almost the entirety of the core wood, as well as much of the Lortma Mountains, and so beyond Elred, you will find no rest, at least none that I would account for. Once you get to Elred, talk to Aurora. Both paths will lead you there, but as I've said, there are at least somewhat reliable laid paths that can get you most of the way. And while they're not safe, they at least may help you stand a better chance up there. If it would help as well. And he pulls out a map.
Oh my god. I'm holding a map.
I'm sure they will pass it to you 3 in a moment.
Eventually.
You do your second.
No, take your time, so then I can take my time.
So you're wanting us to go to an old research station in the mountains to make sure that something is there, and you don't want us to bring it back. You just want to know it's there.
I don't know if it would be able to be brought back. He actually pulls out a single scroll. You two immediately recognize this, especially you as a spell scroll. He kind of pulls it out, it's wrapped in this very fine twine, and he hands it to you. He kind of just goes, "This is a sending scroll. Whenever you all get there, please immediately let me know once you find the orb. It is of utmost importance that I am told right away."
Yeah, I truly believe that these sending scrolls are the downfall of our children these days.
Hey, nobody cares.
Oh my goodness.
As you say that, Finn kind of looks at you as you're starting to look over the map and kind of goes, "Trust me, I'm not exactly the youngest man anymore. I know that, in your opinion, sending scrolls may be ruining the next generation, but they still are of use, at the very least. Magic is always useful to some degree, even if it is not always perfect."
I spelled the mountain range right. Off
Yeah.
a guess.
You all can look through the map real quick. Just to repeat what he said so you guys can see it as you're looking at the map, he has essentially recommended that you all take off from Greyhawk and head west towards Gnarly Forest, and then once you get kind of halfway through it, going down towards Narwhal and Badwall until you eventually reach Elred, that there are at least somewhat laid paths there. Whereas the other option is to go to Hardby and take a boat over the Woolly Bay, but that one is a lot more dangerous as it is not a particularly good sailing season at the moment, and the Woolly Bay is already pretty badly infected.
I believe the Woolly Bay might be the better option.
He looks at you and he just kind of goes, "If you all choose to go there, I just have to say, if you even get into any level of trouble out in sea, there'll be no coming back from it. At least on land, you can try and turn back."
Well, the Gnarly Forest is nasty business these days.
I'd ask our
Yes,
sailor
but
friend
so's
here.
I would like
Bay.
to advise to not go through the Woody Bay. It is currently at its worst season, and not only that, I have found blighted albatross battle.
I understand.
He looks at you and goes, "A blighted albatross, I'm not sure I mean, I know the bird albatross. I didn't know they could get blighted. They were flying creatures. I assume they avoided the sea."
Not them. That's entirely the reason why it is that way.
I see.
When it has caught them, it means that any sailing that you are about to do is doomed to fail.
Seems a bit superstitious.
Not.
Oh,
It's science.
You shouldn't be so worried. I hear cowards float.
So you float?
Ah,
Right, well, I've had about enough sailing for the last couple months, so I vote the land path.
I mean, I'm pretty quick. I'm fine either way, but if our sailor friend is arguing against sailing, I'll take land.
He kind of looks at you all and kind of goes, "Do you all have any questions for me before I have to go and head back upstairs to continue my work for it now?"
I haven't gone that far inland in a long time.
Yes.
How cold is the mountain?
The Lortmore Mountains, I mean, the blight has pretty severely affected the region. Out there, it is at its particular worst. But there are still some degree of weather. I will say Lortmore Mountains are not quite cold. They're relatively warm. I mean, especially now in spring, you'll find that for the most part, your journey there will be at least temperature-wise comfortable, if that's some consolation. Though outside of the Greyhawk's walls, there are other things to worry about.
Good.
Yes, well, it seems that some supplies will need to be gathered for this journey, and there was word of a upfront appraisal.
He kind of goes, "Yes. I will go ahead and hand off that money as you guys are getting ready to go." He kind of takes out another letter out of his bag and hands it to you and kind of says, "You all may look over that if you wish, but I must add, please show that to Aurora when you get there." He kind of says, "I don't really have much else. I just have one thing, though I only have one copy of it for you all to take. I really wish I could send you with more, but..." He reaches into his satchel and pulls out a small vial, maybe no more than about 4 inches tall. Inside is this, like, deep
like almost silver in the way it reflects, but it's more gray than that. It's more washed out. Inside you see like pieces of blue and purple that kind of like float inside, kind of almost creating these extremes of light. He holds it up and he kind of goes, "This is a proprietary mixture. I'm not quite certain how to make so much more at the moment, so only one vial. This will not remedy your blight, but it may give you a better chance against it. Mechanically, this one vial gives you advantage on your next blight save." He goes, "I only have one, so whoever would like it,
As the holy person of the group, I'm assuming I'll hold on to
Weren't you in jail?
it. Pardon?
Nothing.
How would we know that?
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, true.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
shit.
as you are kind of like saying that, he hands the vial towards you. You look at it, and he kind of goes, "I hope they can at least help you all to some degree. It is not easy out there,
Well, anything against the blight is help enough.
of course."
I can smell the crying and the suffering on your skin.
Kai
Bro's,
and
Bro's
Valdo.
hallucinating right now.
What would this vial be called?
This is just called a vial of blight remedy. Both Kai and Valdove, with your passive investigations, as he is talking to you all, and you guys are just kind of looking around, you know enough to keep an eye on small details. In his bag, as he's rifling through, papers kind of get shuffled around, they get mixed up, and some start poking out the top. What you all see on his papers, at least to some degree, what looks like the wheel of like planes that exist connected to Greyhawk. That paper sticks out of his bag, and you essentially see the planes of existence with various lines connected through them in different manners. As he kind of tucks his satchel back away, it vanishes from view, and he looks at you and goes, "Well, if you all don't mind me, I'm going to head upstairs and continue back my work. I do hope the best for you all. Remember to use the sending scroll when you all arrive. Unless there's anything else you will need from me, I will send you all on your way."
So what you looking at with the wheel of planes there?
Give me a persuasion check.
She saw wheel of planes and immediately thought of her Fey research and went, "Let me get on it." All right. Ooh. That's a high roll. Where's my charisma? That's an 18.
18. As you say that, kind of like trying to like lean in.
Just like turning specifically the ear with the Feywild shard earring attention, just like what you
Yeah.
looking at there.
As you do that, you see like a bit of like flustered look kind of over his face. He like tucks away the satchel and goes, "Oh, it is work connected to the research that I'm doing. It's not yet complete, and should you all return, perhaps there will be, or should we meet again, perhaps there will be some kind of opportunity for us to discuss it further. I believe has some, it's just some of the research." There's a level of flustered and like tight-lippedness that you can clearly tell has fallen over him once you kind of like start talking about it. But it, for the most part, seems like he's just kind of trying to push away from the subject of his studies. He goes, "I did not know you were so interested in the extraplanar."
Dryadology was my first research study, my first love.
Of course. Unfortunately, the department got cut.
Yeah, you don't say.
DM.
Yes.
Pygmaeus is a bit confused about something, and
Okay.
he's trying to figure out if there's something that Finn is holding back.
Mhm.
He wants to understand if Finn is kind of exuding that kind of awkwardness or energy about
Give me
keeping
an
something.
insight check.
God damn! It is a 19 plus 4. That is a 23.
23. With a 23, it's, I mean, generally speaking, you are fairly good at reading people. You spend enough time in Greyhawk around so many people that you've learned at least the basics of how to read them. Finn here, as Valdove is talking to him, is very squirrely to some degree, of like tucks away his work, tight-lipped and flustered. There's no level of like hidden, like, I'm trying to think of the word. He's not trying to deceive, more so you can tell he's not laying out every detail. There's some level of, not quite secrecy, but more so protectiveness over information that you can see on his face and in his demeanor when he is talking about his work with Valdov.
Pygmaeus fixes his glasses now, Finn,
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware adventuring or traveling, period, outside of the walls are treacherous work, and as
Of course.
understandably as it is hard. However, is there something that we should expect, but you haven't told us? Something of vital consequence?
He thinks for a moment and then pauses, kind of clearly trying to rack his brain, seeing if there's something important that you all need to know, before he kind of goes, I mean, as far as I understand, there's nothing else you all need to know at this moment. Everything that I've left unsaid is stuff that I must protect, for it is my work. It is my research. I'm sure you two understand that not everything can be revealed until it is completed.
Yep.
Yeah, you say yep.
Pointed look at Kai. Yep.
Now, Finn, should I perish due to your squirrely and, no offense, cowardly behavior, I will come back and I will haunt you.
He kind of looks at you and he goes, I will hope for the best for you. I do not wish to see you pass, nor do I wish to see myself haunted. So I hope that everything turns out all right.
Let's just say you won't be having any problems on the toilet, because I'll scare the shit out of you.
He kind of chuckles to himself and he goes, you know, it's always good in a world like this to still have some sense of humor.
I wasn't joking.
His facial expression kind of drops a little bit.
Right, well, I think it's
Yes,
best that
yes.
we get on our way, gather
Yes.
supplies. It's not quite past noon yet, so let's get about it. No time like the present.
So,
The,
yes,
the Sumerian orb.
correct.
Is that a thing that may have come up in my research of the Fae, the Feywild, and Planar things?
Give me a Arcana check.
Oh, no. The answer's no. That was a total of 9. With a 2.
Yeah, Arcana. So total of 2.
No, total of 9.
Oh, total of
On
9.
a roll of 2.
I see. You may have like briefly heard the name in like one thesis a year ago as you're skimming over a 40-page piece of work. So the name doesn't stick in your mind, but you've maybe heard it before.
Okay.
You've heard it in works related to the Feywild, though not really like deeply connected, or else you would absolutely know about it. And so there's nothing that you can think of that, or that comes to mind, that would be pertinent in this moment.
Excuse me.
Yes.
About the thing that we are sending to retrieve the orb, is there a physical description that you could provide?
Yes. If everything remains as it kind of is described, then I believe the orb should be, and this is why I'm saying it is not quite easy to move, should be about 5 to 10 feet in diameter, fairly large. It will have, it will be mostly glassy, but will have maybe something of a slight greenish tint to it. Almost think of a jasper or a light emerald, but not quite so colored. It's still mostly glassy looking. You will find that amongst the tower, should you all hopefully succeed in making it there. You see his face is, there's a level, especially with y'all's passive insights, of like, he's hoping for the best, but knows that he is sending you all on a dangerous mission. You all know you're going on a dangerous mission. There's that kind of mutual understanding of like, no, we're doing this for our own various reasons, but not necessarily the greatest idea to a commoner to go out into the world beyond the Greyhawk's walls. So, unless there's anything else you all have, we're going to go ahead and wrap up there as Finn kind of gathers his stuff back together, stands up, and kind of goes, wish you all the best. If you need anything from me, I would highly recommend saving the Sending Scroll until you reach the tower. But if you should need it sooner, or if there's something urgent, you may use it, but I will need to be contacted once you reach the tower. That is of most importance. Best of luck, and may the blight not find you all. He finishes up his stuff, starts moving towards the staircase, looks to Dewa, kind of gives you a very brief, like a kind of wave, and heads up the stairs. So you all are there in the longing dawn, having finally gathered, knowing everything you need to know now. If there's any last minute pieces of equipment you really need to grab, we can do that now. Otherwise, you all can start to set off, or at least getting ready. You know, are you all taking a carriage by some means? Are you paying for one? Are you going to just kind of walk it? Now, I will add, we are not going to do every minute of travel that you guys take on. But speed is a relative factor here. The longer you spend in the Blighted World, the worse it is for you. It is always in your best interest to minimize your time out there. So while there's no deadline for the mission, the very nature of the world requires you to expedite. Yes, expedite the process. Expedite. There you go. It requires you to be quick. You don't want to be out there longer than you absolutely must have to.
Are you saying just being outside the walls?
Beyond the walls, most of the world is blighted, and so being out there, even if it's a low level of blight, over time, you are more and more and more likely to want to take levels of light.
Interesting. So it's almost like it's airborne. You don't have to physically contact with it.
Not quite airborne, but it does interact like a curse, where it doesn't always need to physically touch you. More so, it's just kind of
The energy or aura.
in the energy of the world.
Right.
Yes.
Gotcha. Cool.
So, you all can attempt to buy a carriage or something if you all want to go a little bit faster and have that kind of cover. But I will say, beyond Elred, a carriage will not be very usable in the core wood, but it can get you most of the way there should you all want to spend the money to get one. Otherwise, you all can walk most of the way.
How much gold did he give each of us?
So it is 2,500 per person should you all return and succeed. So up front, he will give you all each about 750, a little under a third. Now, I will say that level of money is not easy to come by, especially in this world. So when he kind of pulls it out and hands it to you all individually, there is that level of like, oh shit, where you all kind of go, oh, there is money here. There is something that is able to expend like this.
That's more than I've had in my wallet at
Yes.
one time.
Yes. So how much? Well, I guess. Well, I believe the easiest course of action would try to be to rent a carriage, some horses that can get to us at least to Elred quite fast. And I mean, if anything happens, then it happens. But the faster we can move, the better.
Rent a carriage?
You could.
We'll buy whatever they do.
I got
Do I look like the type that's buying horses?
I'm not saying we shouldn't rent a carriage. I'm saying it's probably gonna get gone anyway. So I guess if it's cheaper, let's do with that.
Well, that means we just don't have to bring it back.
Fair enough.
Can that thing fit in a carriage?
Is blight insurance a thing?
Yeah, I just remembered how much individual gold is. We're gonna stick with the amount, but I forgot. Anyway, so
I was like, that's a lot.
yeah. Either way, I will say rates to take a wagon outside of the city. Now, buying a wagon is one thing. You can do whatever the hell you want with your own wagon. But to rent a carriage or rent a wagon and take it outside the city, they massively increase the cost because to some degree they don't expect to get it back.
Yeah.
And so at some point, depending on how long you guys or trying to be gone, buying a wagon might just outright be cheaper. But I will say the journey to Elred, anyone who would like to give me a probably survival check can kind of guesstimate the length of time it will take you all to get that far. Now, this region is not very huge, especially the one that you are traveling in locally, but it's still enough to where you guys can expect some level of distance.
14.
16.
16, 14, 13, 19. So I'd say you two mainly. Everyone kind of has a broad idea of it, but you two mainly from your time in the field and from your kind of knowledge of the earth. The distance to Elred, given the path that has been laid out for you all, is just a little under 2 days. Now, you can expedite that if you guys choose to push through or have some out-of-game stuff, some successful rolls that will actually help you get there a little bit faster. But the general distance is a little under about 2 days travel, depending on your pace. From Elred to the Corwood and Lortmo Mountains is much shorter. It's only about half a day to 3/4 of a day's travel. So most of your journey will be from Greyhawk to Elred, though, as I've said, we're going to cut out a decent amount of that stuff unless it is vital to our story. So a carriage could help reduce that time. Now, that little under 2 days is kind of either with a slow carriage or a very fast walking pace. But if you have a carriage that is not slowed down, nothing gets in your way, you could get there in maybe a day and a quarter, a day and a half. You had a question?
Is Finn still there?
Finn is like heading upstairs right now. Did you want to say something?
Can I see him? He would.
Yeah, he's still like going around the tower to
okay.
go to the stairs.
I thought I was gonna have to use that message. Phone the guy.
Nope, it's in my pocket.
He's also upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Finn. Don't be in such a hurry now. Come here.
He turns around on the staircase and he goes, Pygmaeus, yes.
Yeah, good lad.
What was it?
Now, as you understand,
Yes.
material attachment is the source of our suffering. However, our suffering is not worth, 500 gold or whatever? What was it you said?
A little under 750 for each of y'all, essentially.
Yes. Well, see, that's not going to cut it. Now, you can either increase that amount, which I know you can, given the fact that you have access to 2,500 gold in total.
Feldov sitting behind him like,
I think my bird would have like flown with Pygmaeus, and as he's trying to telepathically tell me, I look at Valdov and says, "That's your partner.
I keep interesting company.
Is he going to distract us and keep us from moving, or are we?"
I mean, worst comes to worst. I can make him go to sleep.
I will say that I do have a proposition for you and maybe him, but I cannot speak it here. So if we can like maybe tell him to hurry up a bit and then...
Hey, Pygmaeus.
As you were talking to Finn, Finn's kind of going, well, now you see. And then you chime in.
Hey, Pygmaeus. Get your ass back to the table, boy.
Hold on!
No.
Hold on! I'm making some fucking money!
Wait, money ain't gonna matter if we don't live. We need you to come back here and plan.
Well, if I'm going to die, I'm not going to die for fucking 750 gold.
Now,
What the fuck?
Finn looks at you and says, Pygmaeus says, I'm sure you understand.
No, you listen here. You understand this. You're sending us to probably, I mean, let's statistically here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. Someone's not coming back.
I will say, when Pygmaeus starts getting really loud,
Yes.
Arya steps in and like pulls him.
Yeah, as Finn is like standing there, kind of like arms crossed a little bit, like, he's not upset by you like yelling at him, but he's clearly like, he's looking over you, he's trying to read you. And then as you like start yelling and bring up your voice, Arya steps in.
Very much like a heavy hand on the shoulder, like a warning.
Hello! Valdov's like lighting her pipe, getting ready to cast a cantrip if she has to, just like...
No, she's super tall and I'm super short, so yes.
If it is necessary, I am willing to share some of
Well, I truly appreciate it. However, that's not the point. Right? The problem is this small, And the principal is this big. It's 3 volumes thick.
Pygmaeus, if I might add, each of you all individually have chosen to come here for whatever various reasons may have brought you to me. It is not my responsibility to motivate every last inch of your body to move forward.
3,000 gold, my last offer.
You can walk away.
As soon as he says that, Valdiv is like, well, need a little bit of luck, and gestures her hand out, and a rabbit's foot appears and claps over Pygmaeus' mouth.
The rabbit's foot kind of covers your mouth. As Finn kind of looks at you and goes, I wish you the best of luck, Pygmaeus, and I hope that whatever you find out there may help you in your research as well. And he kind of gets up and fully goes upstairs and does not turn around.
Pygmaeus, not being from Greyhawk, he looks at his hand. This one! Yes, this one! Do you understand what this means? Yes! That's what I think of you!
The rabbit's foot is just like biting to keep him quiet.
Right, so carriage is my vote.
I agree, and I've got the funds.
Yeah. To just buy a carriage here in Greyhawk is a little more expensive than typical, as resources are hard to come by. A full carriage with horses that, they're not the greatest, but they'll make do, is about 100 gold, all included, for a carriage in good condition. Now, you can get one in worse condition if you want to save the money, or if you all want to forego purchasing horses, then you all can reduce that cost as well.
Oh, Zam!
Do we need horses, or
Oh, economy's pretty
are we
good.
willing to pull a wagon?
I mean,
I do have someone that could, but it will be really slow. Just in case the horses die. I suggest we get horses.
if the
they
horses
do-
die, then we pull it.
If they die,
it's not that
no,
So we start
you
with
don't need to
horses?
pull it. I have someone that can pull it.
perfect.
DM,
Yes.
how fast
Yes.
would you reckon these horses are going pulling a wagon behind them?
Pulling the carriage behind
Like per
them,
turn?
I could probably not give you a perfect estimate. While pulling a carriage, I'm essentially using the riding horses stats here as I've looked them up. They can normally move about 60 feet a turn. I'd say realistically, pulling a carriage, that reduces their speed to about 40 to 45. Now, they're still moving mostly at full speed on even and relatively normal roads, but obviously that's slowed down by terrain and things such as that.
So what you're saying
Mhm.
is Arya is fully capable of walking and keeping up with these horses.
Yes, you are as fast as a horse.
Damn.
Zam.
I'm so hungry, I could
You could what, Dewa?
I could eat.
Yeah.
Just eat.
Just eat.
I
I'm
could just
so
eat.
hungry.
I could just eat. You can fill in the blank however you want.
So,
She ate with that.
do you all buy the carriage?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm covering
Yep.
it.
With
Oh, you're
horses?
covering it?
Okay.
Oh.
So, in that
With
case,
horses.
with horses and everything includes, like,
Sure,
you won't have to worry
mama.
about feeding the horses rations or anything like that. It'll just be about 125 in total for, like, horses, carriage, food for the horses, like, a few pieces of stuff to repair the carriage if you need, like, an extra wheel or something, but really not a, like, it's the basics you would need.
I thought there would be more.
In this case, there is essentially a level of, like, the horses are not the greatest horses ever. They're almost like farm horses to some degree.
But they are horses nonetheless.
They are horses nonetheless. So,
Do we need to purchase rations for this adventure?
I would just keep them in mind. If you have, the classic set of 10 rations, you don't really need to worry about it unless something happens to them.
I have
We're
good
not,
berry.
we're not going to make you expend the rations, but as long as you know you have them, yes, Neil.
So what year is it?
So most timelines, at least in the world right now, have been revolved around the Blight, especially in the area around Greyhawk. It is about 20 years post-Blight at this point, between 20 and 21. Now, beyond the scope of Greyhawk, where the Blight isn't as bad, people still somewhat use the years as normal, but you would mainly know it as 20-ish years post-Blight. So yeah.
PB?
As you all
kind of gather your stuff together, do the last minute stuff before you guys head out. You purchase the carriage. We're going to skip through this a little bit as we've done most of y'all's equipment gathering before you even started the show. So you all purchased the carriage, or Valdo purchased the carriage, has their very own car.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
With my highly esteemed signet ring of the Adkaran family, can I haggle that price down?
Give me a persuasion check.
Now, make sure you get us
Is everyone here?
the latest model.
Yeah.
Because Ari could be a little intimidating.
Let's see the persuasion check.
That's good. 9.
As you're like holding up the ring, essentially pulling the, do you know who my father is?
My father gonna hear about this.
The people that are kind of selling the carriages kind of looking and go, no, I'm not quite familiar with the noble families. I'm just a stable worker.
That's all right.
She
We probably own
works
the
in the
stable,
tower.
but that's all right.
Her dad,
Landlord's
her
mom.
father is important. He could get you banned if you're not careful.
That's not true. He won't do that.
Uh,
Don't be slandering the Adkaran name now.
so
I'm just trying to sing. It's
I'll
all
say
right.
they reduced it by 5 gold, from 125 to 120.
Nice, dap me up, big bro.
No.
Arya will sneakily slide 5 of her gold to the workers
Yeah.
after they start leaving.
So you all start like loading your stuff into the carriage, packing your stuff in. I'm assuming your mule is going to either stay alongside the carriage.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think this isn't that relevant. It's
Yeah.
just for the viewers at home.
Yeah.
Basically, I am going to use some of my money to make an actual returning dagger
Okay.
instead of relying on my infusions, basically.
Awesome.
So that's really it.
So as you all gather your stuff together in the carriage, kind of pack up, this carriage is relatively simple. Wooden base that has kind of 2 benches on either side of the interior where you can sit, you can lay down if you need. There are some extra like padded cloths that you can lay down on the floor to make it a little bit more comfortable, or put on the bench stools essentially, or bench seats to try and make them more tolerable over long hauls. The carriage is only a little over 5 feet long, meaning it's not very large, or sorry, not 5 feet, 8 feet, got the number wrong. A little over 8 feet long, so you all can kind of sit in it and be near each other, but it's by no means spacious. The 2 horses in the front are connected by the reins that kind of come to this lower platform that sits in front of the carriage, where there's a clearly like kind of marked area for someone to sit up there and control the horses as needed. You all will need someone to try and rein the horses in and guide them as much as possible. I will say animal handling helps significantly, but land vehicle proficiency, which I know they've kind of phased out at this point, 2084 rules, would also help as well. Animal handling or land vehicle proficiency. Yes, Arya.
That might end up being my job.
I have okay in
I have, all right.
So, you all pack up the carriage. Is there anything else you would like to do before you all essentially leave the walls of Greyhawk?
How do you get a -7 on animal handling?
Is that possible?
What?
I don't think so.
Because -4 is the most you can get in a stat before you die, because a -5 is 0. And then you can't get a negative proficiency bonus.
What's your
None of your goddamn business.
You don't want
Keep your eyes on your sheet.
You don't want to drive the carriage, Pygmaeus?
He's so old.
Yeah.
He's from the 3.5.
Pygmaeus is actually a 3.5e character that has
Exactly.
found their way to this adventure.
Yep.
Well,
So-
all right.
You all load up the carriage and finish up your last task. Is there anything you all would like to do, preparations before you leave the walls of Greyhawk? And you will immediately find yourselves in danger. There is some level of like radius around Greyhawk where things are relatively safe, but at some point you all will start getting out into the wilderness where there's no bastion of safety like there is in Greyhawk.
Right, well, who's going to take the first driving shift?
Horses do not like me.
Okay.
Noted.
That's a lie.
I can.
Yeah.
I tend
Just
to be
lie to your
unlucky
teeth.
animals.
You won't do it. I'm not gonna argue.
Oh, I can keep up 1 foot.
All right. I'll
Aldev, you take the first, I'll take the second.
All right. That works for me.
So, you all fully load in, and of all people, the Heron Gun Jackrabbit
Tiny little rabbit sitting there like,
sits up to the front, dead staring forward. dead staring forward, just beady eyes, holding the reins currently.
I will, as she is driving, I will like just keep casting guidance on her, just over and over again. Well, it'll be her. My bird will be on her, and then the bird will cast guidance. I will literally just be him pointing.
Spamming, just
Spamming it.
He's like, watch out for that.
There's only one roll necessary for most, or for a good chunk of the journey. We'll re-roll as things come up. But realistically, what it is Goosey kind of sitting on her shoulder going, like, can it communicate with other people, or is it just squawk?
Just me.
So you just see the wing like flare out and go like, ah! Like pointing in the direction of like a small pothole in the ground. So
That's the road, by the way.
as you all load in, what is everyone doing in the back of the carriage as Valdove is up front getting ready to kind of take off?
Natalia would pop open this little letter as we're taking off. Valdove, love, can you hear me?
It's not that big of a carriage, dear.
I don't know, horses and whatever. This is the letter that Finn gave us. Adventurers, thank you for taking up this task. Your bravery will be vital in the challenges to come. 20 years of blight weighs heavy on the Flaneys. Follow the paths out from Greyhawk. They will take you to Elred. Be careful as you pass through the gnarly forest near Badwall. There are things lurking in the blighted lands no mortal was meant to deal with. Yippee. Once you reach Elred, find Aurora. She will be stationed out there even now. She knows the Corwood better than anyone else and is the best scout I know. She can tell you more about your path to Prometheus Tower. There are no paths beyond Eldred, so I would suggest you take your time and rest there, as you will not find much reprieve nor safety waiting for you beyond. Good luck. With his sigil.
Well. Alright then.
So basically, the things that we got to.
Yes.
Yes.
So, as you all load in, you read out the letter. The rest of you are casting guidance through Gusty.
Casting it
Pygmaeus
over and
and
over
Arya,
again.
are you all doing anything in particular as you all are loaded in the back of the carriage? You're just kind of waiting for you all to finally take off. You are like,
Arya's walking along.
oh yes,
Yeah.
you were not in the back of the carriage. I was imagining you just standing in the carriage, like trying to fight the road as it moved. But yeah, you're kind of walking alongside.
Yeah, she would walk.
I'm sorry, my bad. My dear, are you not going to sit? No, you don't have to walk.
No, I am very comfortable here. I do not want to be separated from the class.
I see. Suit yourself.
So, you kind of take the reins and use them to finally like let the horses kind of start moving gently through the streets of Greyhawk. You guys are not far from the exits of the walls. The stables are not positioned so far in the city that it becomes inconvenient to leave. But there's still a little bit of viewing the city as you guys pass out of it. The streets kind of clearing way for you all's carriage to exit. Finally, you guys reach the gates and the massive walls of Greyhawk that tower 30, 40, you don't know the exact height, but tall enough to where you really can't see beyond when you're this close. As you guys get closer, a gate is currently open during the day. You all know that anyone is free to come and go as they wish, but at night when things are harder to spot, not because the blight is more active, but just because with the darkness of night, it's harder to visually see when something is blighted. The gates are sealed. And so as you exit them, the kind of loud and bustling streets of Greyhawk slowly fading behind you all, you start to feel the open air around you that is not often felt in the stuffiness inside of those walls. The sun is still high in the sky, the air is gently breezing past. There is a scent in the air of just baked goods as you guys pass by a few shops and bakeries just outside of the walls. There are people that live out here, those that can't afford to live in the city. They're mostly safe, but mostly is the key word there. As you guys exit, the paths ahead of you are plain stone that is cracked from use, that is worn down by the wheels of carriages that come and go. But eventually, as you guys ride for maybe about an hour at this point, not much really happening in that time, you all start to see the path slowly transition. Stone gives way to sand. as you all are moving through this region just beyond Greyhawk but before the gnarly forest, you start noticing that the ground beneath you, there's no laid stone path, or if there was, it has been destroyed at this point. What you all do see is paths of sand that lead outwards, like they become the very road that you are to travel. It has this slight glitter to it in the sun as it reflects off in the very bright day. And just beyond Greyhawk, as you guys have made this journey, you guys pass over the river that you used to come into port. You see the ocean, that dark blue color with these lily pads of blight gently floating on it, more dangerous than they could ever appear, gently drifting by. As time continues on, and you all are just kind of sitting around, watching the kind of landscape go by, is there anything that you all want to do, knowing that you are leaving the safety of Greyhawk fully into the fire?
Can we go back?
Yep, all right, drive it up.
Good game. Hell yeah.
Natalia would be just retuning her instruments in the back, kind of lounged as best as she can, just lazily picking at them, adjusting, as they probably got a little knocked around in the cubbies.
In the cubbies of the jail, yes. Yep.
The cubbies.
Yes, it's the cubbies. Nothing else to that.
No.
So.
And yeah, she would just kind of be nonchalantly tuning, picking different songs, you know, offering some tunes.
Yeah. You guys have a built-in radio.
Yeah.
To cope with the built-in radio, Velda is at the front, probably pissing off the bird just by smoking constantly. I mean, it's not necessarily clear when she refills the tobacco in the bowl of her pipe, but somehow she does.
Yes.
I think Kai would lie and tell you that you need to stop smoking. The bird they can't breathe. And then Pagusti just tells him, I don't need to breathe.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you hear squawking. In your head you hear, I mean, I don't really need to breathe much.
Waldorf, you have to slightly just tone down the smoking. It's not...
He's a bird, he can fly above the smoke.
no, honestly, it smells pretty nice.
He says it smells awful.
How can you talk to the bird?
Telepathy.
Well, you know, it's just a leaf, right? It comes out of the ground, right? There's no harm in it.
Well,
It's all natural.
I didn't say there wasn't no harm in it, but
So,
You
you're
can go
walking
sit on the
alongside
other
the
shoulder.
carriage.
Yes. She's kind of like trying to keep up best as she can. But she is behind the horses, definitely.
Yeah.
She's more so aligned with the rest of the group.
Yeah. I mean, you are not quite in a dead sprint, but you're having to kind of like fast walk to keep up with the horses. Now, you can obviously slow down a little bit if you'd like, but at the current pace you all are on, should nothing else happen, you all should reach Elred in about a day and a half, maybe a day and 3/4, around that region. As you all are traveling, those
Should being the operative word.
Natalia, Arya, and Pygmaeus, the three of you, as you are on the carriage, watching the landscape, looking at the area around you all, kind of finally, at least for some of you, taking in the nature that is outside of Greyhawk for the first time in a little bit. It is with you all's passive perception that you all start to notice the beginning of it. These small, almost imperceptible tendrils of dark brownish purple that run through the earth, kind of splitting the dirt as they go. You can see them ever so gently sprawled out in every direction, almost like a spider web that has begun to take form before you. Now, the ends here are unfinished. They are ever constantly and ever slowly moving and inching forward, claiming ground bit by bit. But for you all, the biggest thing that you notice is beyond the blight that is just barely there in the ground. Up ahead, you start to see the gnarly forest just kind of come over the horizon. It's trees and vegetation that you expect to see bright and green and wonderful in this time of spring is instead dreary and drab. You don't notice vibrant colors, but instead a kind of slowly warped and downturned tree canopy that is just, even from this distance, tinted with that shade of brownish purple. You all see the forest coming up in the distance if you all like to do anything before you get there.
When Arya sees like the first bit of the blight start, she's gonna like pause for half a second, right? And just like drop and touch her forehead to the ground and then pick herself back up.
I will say, do the others notice this? Is this very obvious?
I mean, she's not hiding it.
Yeah. So none of you all are like taken aback by it, but it is, you all do see like kind of out of the corners of your eyes as you all are looking forward and everything around you, that Arya kind of like slowly loses ground, the horses. But when you look back, she has touched her head to the ground, has come up and is now rejoining you all. The forest ahead will continue to loom larger as you all get closer, with the severity of the blight coming into view. The forest itself still remains as it was many years ago, with the trees and the general layout as well as how they're growing mostly intact, but with this ever-present empty feeling to it. As you all approach, at this point getting to the distance where you guys can really start making out details of the trees in the forest, you all begin to see that the bark of the trees has bigger, thicker versions of those tendrils that kind of curl up and around it, cracking into the wood, as well as the leaves that sprout from the trees that kind of hang loose, almost barely holding on to their branches. Their veins that you normally see that kind of light green gently etched into them instead has the veins of the blight that kind of curl down their paths. Everything here is to some degree touched and consumed by the blight before you all. You even kind of just generally feel the air around you kind of become vacuous, almost empty to a degree. There's still plenty of air to breathe, but something about it just feels hollow. You, Pygmaeus, as you're looking over the gnarly forest, it's a big forest. There's a lot to it. There's many regions of it.
Pretty gnarly.
It is pretty gnarly, but you know more than anyone else just how bad it's gotten here. Just what that kind of level of corruption does to a region. What is Pygmaeus thinking as you all get close here?
Pygmaeus is actually keeping his head down, sitting in the back. He is grasping at his staff, twisting, and you see him staring into a 1,000-yard stare, but it's on the floor. And you can tell that he doesn't want to look up to see what has happened to this forest.
As Pygmaeus stares at the bottom of the carriage, kind of taking every grain of wood, every crack in the bark, you feel the jostle of the carriage as I will need an animal handling check now, as you all have reached the more rocky roads, so to say.
Okay, what's the mechanics on guidance?
Just a
D4.
Okay.
I will say at this point, Arya has definitely moved up towards the front of the carriage in case something goes wrong.
Good enough.
Dirty 20.
There you go. So, you feel that slight jostle of the carriage, but for the most part, it's fairly manageable. I mean, especially with Valdove doing as good of a job as she is, the carriage remains steady. You avoid most pitfalls that other people may have fallen into. There are small potholes. The sand is uneven. It shifts under your wheels. But at the end of the day, you've kind of figured this out. You got a feel for the horses and the road at this point, and have started to kind of make it easy on yourself. As you are moving into the forest at this point, the trees rise around you. Essentially, from a distance, they don't look quite that large, but when you get in here closer, they're relatively tall. Their branches and their leaves, even drooping as they may be, create a pretty thick treetop that makes it hard to see much above you, to the sun, to the sky, to the fresh air above, leaving you all not quite clouded in darkness, but in a dim light area. As far as dark vision goes, this is dim light, so you all, even if you don't have dark vision, you can still kind of see in front of you. Yes?
I don't have dark vision.
I know.
if
Wanted to
it's
switch it
for
up
those of you
a little.
without dark vision, aka Valdovan Pygmaeus, funny enough,
Put the one that's driving.
yeah, funny enough, the
I
one
got
driving,
astigmatism. I can't see nothing.
it's dim in here, so you're kind of like squinting to see the road ahead of you. But you all are kind of limited in your view. Kai and Arya, you guys have a pretty decent chunk of view where everything is still perfectly normal. It's, I mean, for you in mostly grayscale, and for you, Kai, mostly in some level of green scale, but you can still see for the most part. And the color's not fully washed out. It's not darkness, it's just dim light. As far as Natalia, you have a wide range of vision. You can see almost as far as you could normally see. The shadows cast by the growing canopy above you doesn't quite seem to impact you quite so hard. As you all are looking around, you can see the twisted trees and the ways that the branches and bark have kind of collapsed in on themselves. The blight seemingly having curled in around it and almost suffocating them out. Especially here in the thickest part of the gnarly forest, as you guys start to get closer to the center, you guys start seeing real movement from the blight. Not just small inching forward, but actual tendrils that kind of slowly wrap trees and continue to move, kind of slowly clawing their way higher, or branches of it that have moved out onto the ground and have slowly broken into the dirt. You, at some point as you guys are traveling, you hear the sound of a stone crack off in the distance. This deep, resounding thud that you guys can hear the echo of bouncing off the trees. And when you look over, you see that a tendril of blight has actually wrapped around a stone and broken it as it has attempted to dig further into the earth. Looking around you all, there is nothing but this blight and what is left of the vegetation is consumed. At this point, as you all are so deeply inside of it, the air around you becoming kind of grotesque in the way that it smells. I'm going to need everyone to make their first blight save, which is a Constitution saving throw.
Yay!
Okay, while we're rolling, I do have questions.
Yes.
Is it going to get darker as we go into this forest, from what I
It
can
will
tell?
get a little darker. You don't think you'll ever get to darkness, but you do think that the dim light will only get worse.
Okay. And is it going to be a significant disadvantage that it is harder to see?
With dim light, it will just be that you can only see properly within maybe 10, 20 feet of you, and then beyond that, you'll have disadvantage on things like perception checks or ranged attack rolls.
At this point, there's been a few hours, so we might switch out the driver anyways.
Okay.
It's been maybe about, a handful of hours you guys have traveled. At this point, you guys have crossed the river outside of Greyhawk and gotten into at least the first section of the gnarly forest. I'll go in order here.
17.
17.
Nat 20 for 27.
That 20 for 27.
Jeez.
Pygmaeus.
Let me just double check that I'm reading this right.
Not again.
It's a, there's a 2, my guy. Whoa, let's not forget the modifier here. Remember, I put all my points into Constitution.
Yes, of course.
Plus 2.
4.
Yeah!
Hey, that's double.
Hey!
So Drew.
Going home, double.
All right.
Going home, period.
That's 9.
9.
17.
All right. So, the two researchers, one of you is the most exposed, being in the front to drive the carriage. The other so distracted that they can't even think to defend themselves. The air around you is disgusting. It smells of rot and to some degree of just staleness. It's like the air has frozen here. As you are driving, you begin to feel this level of fatigue. Not anything where you're gonna drop where you are, but more so like you've just been awake too long. Like you've been kind of constantly alert. As a jackrabbit, you know the feeling of like being so on edge for so long wears you down. This sense of fatigue and to some degree exhaustion starts to weigh on you. Pygmaeus, in the back of the carriage, you already kind of hunched over staring at the floor, do not notice it innately, but you kind of hunch down lower as you start to feel that same fatigue set on you. Both of you are at blight level 1, which does mean the poisoned condition.
Not this shit again.
Now, for Pygmaeus, you know, generally speaking, what it looks like for someone at this level to have blight, and you, even as you feel it, even if you aren't aware when it kind of set in, you know what's happening. Although this is an all too familiar feeling.
Yeah, the ear, which I had to cut the tip off of when I had blight the last time, twitches at the unfortunate familiarity of my situation. I'm not happy about this at all.
As this curse kind of settles on you two, you both know well and good as researchers that it gets far worse than this. The blight almost works in stages, much like how exhaustion works in D&D. And so as you guys are fighting back against this, there will be time to rest where you may be able to get rid of it. But unlike exhaustion, beyond a certain point, it's not as simple as sleeping. There's a certain level of blight where you simply cannot recover from it. You all are not near it yet, but with the curse setting on you, it comes to mind.
As a blight warden,
Yes.
do I notice the symptoms on them?
Give me an insight check, because this first level is less about visual symptoms and more of like, can you tell that they are suddenly more exhausted than they may have normally been?
Can it be medicine?
I'm also okay with that, yes.
That's an 8.
An 8.
An 8.
I will say, realistically, it's very hard for anyone, even a blight warden, to tell when the first level of blight is hit, and that's what makes it so scary.
Yep.
It's less about a visual impact and more about this idea of like, it really just feels like you pulled an all-nighter and you're just kind of tired. Now, that is kind of the initial introduction for the blight, where it just wears you down just a little bit. Now, the poison condition for you two does mean disadvantage on ability checks, saving throws, and attack rolls. Not saving throws, I believe, just ability checks and attack rolls. So if any of that comes up, just remember to roll with disadvantage on those.
I think the way that he would resist this first moment is that as he starts to see the blight affecting the world around him, he unfurls his headdress and then like turns into a scarf, because that's what he has seen work for him the most.
Yeah.
It doesn't really mean it does work, but that's what
Yeah.
he thinks works.
Superstition or not, you do it.
And then anyway, he does take out like his shield after seeing like just getting worse and worse. Take out the shield, packs and stow his Chris sword, and pulls out his pistol and just cocks it.
Yeah, those of you in the back of the carriage, or even Arya just saying next to it, you see Kai pull out a actual like, what's the word? Like flintlock pistol.
Glock 19.
And cock it.
We'll say that it looks like there's no ammunition inside, and then he just like his eyes, you can just see the smoke coming out of his eyes, moving towards the pistol and recharge it and reloads it.
Sick as hell.
Valdo from the front of the carriage probably hears that, like the ear like twitches, but she's like, "Hey, Natalia, I'm gonna need you to come take over for me."
You got it.
So,
Yeah.
She dumps all the fire out of her pipe and is like,
kind of snuff it out, dump it out.
Natalia would stand up to switch, much like Kai did when she saw that the blight was getting worse. Her small experience with the blight, and just the heaviness and grossness of the air. She did untie one of the little like sashes around her waist and scarf it around her neck and kind of like nuzzle into it as she was like playing her little instrument. And then as Valdo calls her to switch, she just, kind of keeps it around.
You all know well and good, or at least you know, for you maybe a superstitious thing, that wrapping the face generally isn't a foolproof thing, as the curse operates as a magical effect. It is a curse at the end of the day, so it kind of exists in the energy of the world. But at the very least, the scarf kind of helps keep out that stale air that is just unpleasant to breathe at the very least. Yes, please.
Pygmaeus in the back, drooping even lower than he already was, says, "No matter how hard you try, those things won't save you. I was only sitting here and I already feel it in my bones. It's entered me."
That's the most disgusted reaction I've ever seen.
What's going on, Pygmies?
Metaphorically, of course.
Yeah, as the blight kind of continues to worsen around you all start to come up on an area where the path narrows a little bit and then kind of continues to expand outwards. So as you guys switch off driving, the carriage comes to a stop for a moment. Can you give me an animal handling check to continue driving this carriage?
You also have guidance.
There you go.
4. Nine.
9.
Oh god.
You start to drive, and with the path narrowing and kind of getting a lot smaller, you guys still see the sand sprinkled over the ground. Enough sand that it kind of, you can fully step on it and compress it, and it still does not give way to earth. You start to kind of meander with the cart a little bit, not exactly fully focused on where you're going. The cart does not encounter any problems, but you do somewhat lose the orientation of where you are going. As this is noticed by you.
She is directionally challenged.
Yes. As this is noticed by you in the group, can I get survival checks from everyone to kind of orient yourself in the forest, let alone being a little bit lost, but just trying to grasp exactly where you are?
Can it be nature?
For you, it can be nature because you have your backstory.
One of those was a nat 20.
That's so sad. Oh, you do still have disadvantage now with poison.
Kai got 17, and then the mule gets a 13.
13, 17,
23.
23. What did Natalia get?
And 18.
18, pretty good.
19.
19.
I rolled 2. One of them was 19.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was an 8.
Aw.
But
With your bonus?
with a bonus of 8.
Damn.
That's a nat 20, of course.
So 16. As you all are looking around, you all kind of take in your surroundings. As bad as the blight is around you all, it does help orient you to some degree, especially as a blight warden and as researchers. You all know that the blight spreads outward, meaning you can kind of trace its lines and its trails back in a single direction. And while you guys aren't necessarily following it, it does help orient you as all the blight lines go this way. Well, we know we're still traveling this way as we are perpendicular to them, or other stuff of that nature. As you guys are traveling, you start to move well into the forest at this point, losing sight of anything beyond it. The sand paths before you are kind of slowly leading through, winding past trees and different sections of blight, with a passive perception, a staggering passive perception of 17, Pygmaeus. You notice that especially as you start looking up, you notice that the blight around you is all moving towards Greyhawk. Now, this is known as it generally spreads outwards, but you also can tell that some of the pieces that would normally go to the sides have kind of curled back in to head in a single direction, and what you know is towards Greyhawk. With a passive investigation of 17. 20, actually. I got the number wrong. That's even better. So, with a passive investigation of 20, looking out at the ground before you, you notice 2 things. 1, the path is clearly laid. This was not haphazard. Someone put this here. Now, that goes for most roads, but you can also tell to some degree that it must have been laid a while ago, as it was clearly perfectly straight before, and the sand has slowly kind of been pushed to the side. 2, in amongst the glittering sand, you notice that the blight that is around it, 2 things happen. 1, as the blight kind of moves towards the path, as it gets close to the sand, it curls away from it, almost seeming to actively avoid the path before you. The other thing you notice is that as the carriage drives by and kicks out sand, as small portions of it land on blighted veins, those blighted veins kind of and shrivel backwards.
Interesting. I think Kai would, once he figures that out, Kai will ask to stop the carriage for a bit.
Well, luckily enough for you, the carriage is kind of coming up on a section of the forest that is a bit more open, not quite empty, not a grove or anything, but there's up ahead a noticeable building for all of you, a like ruined and run down section of what maybe was houses, some kind of farmstead that starts to come into view ahead of you. You can see the buildings have been overtaken with blight. Sections of roof collapsed in as the tendrils that are so thick and heavy break them down. You see this like rotted section of wood and stone that slowly crumbles away from the buildings. This farmstead up ahead that you see is completely abandoned. Even the air in it just feels lonely. There are empty carriages, there are ponds with sickly green water, there are what maybe was the possessions of those who once lived here. So as you come to a stop, you can see that just ahead on your path, and you start looking around, and you notice that the path kind of cuts straight through it. Looking down at the sand, what are you doing? Or like looking down at the path?
I think Kai is trying to get his mule, which looks like wayang kulit shadow puppets, but in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
To try to get its mule to pick up some of the sand that hasn't been thrown to the blight, like as far away from the blight as possible.
Almost like center of the path.
Yeah. He is going to use his Tinker's tool to create a vial.
Okay.
And with that, he's going to try and collect the sand to the vial.
So you create a vial using your artifice, and you kind of gently, as your mule brings it to you, dump it into the vial and kind of close it. When you look inside, what you mostly see is just what looks like sand. It has a bit of a glimmer to it. There are like speckles of shine, but you know you would need probably more time to properly examine this before you can actually make any kind of conclusions. So as you kind of are holding on to that, and the area around you all continues to be this disgusting forest with this farmstead in front of you, up ahead you all start hearing
Upon hearing that, Tally would slowly bring the carriage to a stop.
The carriage was already kind of somewhat stopped by Kai, but it was like gently moving forward. You fully stopped the horses.
Well, I was gonna ask what you're looking at there, Kai, but what the hell was that?
Arya steps fully in front of the carriage.
You step fully in front of the carriage. Kind of the horses being pulled to a stop are like behind you, kind of just clearly waiting for the next thing to happen. As you are standing there with the carriage having been kind of halted behind you, you start hearing more of the in the kind of empty air, it rings outwards. You don't know where it's coming from in particular, but it just seems to be echoing off the trees, off the abandoned houses. It's hard to pinpoint the exact location of that sound, but what you do notice, especially with most of y'all's passive perceptions, is that it is only getting louder.
I think Kai's shield looks like those large African shield that has the little hole in the middle.
Yeah.
It creates an H look. So he just holds it out forward, cocks his pistol, his flintlock pistol, and just turns around a little, just getting ready to make sure. And as he's gonna move closer to
We have both of our martial characters kind of immediately taking up the front, one kind of very sternly looking out at the very front of everyone, and another holding up a shield and his flintlock. What are the 3 of you doing?
Veldov, taking Kai's initiative there, pulls out her own shield and is hiding behind it, sitting between Pygmaeus and the open back of the carriage. Like,
now, you know this is not the final destination. We could just leave.
As you say that, Arya, near your foot, I mean, there are blighted veins everywhere, but you feel something like gently move across it, and you look down and you see the small tendril kind of and just kind of moved over your foot. And in that instance, as it does that, you feel this sense of something pulling, like some energy being pulled away. You then, just a brief moment later, hear the sound of a child crying in one of the farmhouses.
Oh shit.
Now, we don't have to.
You will all hear this.
We all hear it.
We all hear?
You all hear the sounds of child crying in one of the farmhouses, followed very shortly at the end of it, like kind of the last bit of the cry.
Oh,
And fuck them kids. That shit is not real.
well, we have a bird. We can send him to investigate.
Arya bolts.
Oh,
Arya, in a moment where you all are like, kind of pause, trying to figure out what happens, takes off towards one of the farmhouses. What do the rest of you all do?
There's nothing alive in there, Arya.
We're
I
not coming
promise
after
you.
you. We'll be waiting right here.
When she bolts, I go, oh, fuck the gods again. And then I send my mule towards her, and then I also move towards her. But not dashing, I just like move closer to it.
How far away is this farmhouse that Arya's?
Not that far, maybe about 20, 30 feet. So as she bolts off towards it, the mule goes, you all yell after her. And there's another moment where as the kind of air around you is still, you, Kai, and you all gently hear the sound of crashing waves from nearby. Unknown location, you're uncertain exactly where it could be originating from. There's no sea, no ocean around you all, but nonetheless the waves crash in your ears. The sounds of the child crying continue to amplify and get louder as you all continue to hear With a passive perception of 17 Pygmaeus, it is all too late that as you turn around, you see what look like sections of tree bark that have kind of curled and moved around to attach themselves to what is left of a person, as it is almost tied together with the veins of the blight, pulled like puppet on strings. You can see the muscles themselves don't move, but instead the blighted veins kind of pull at the different sections of the body, puppeting it. As it moves forward towards you, you hear that same sound in your head, and with a 17 passive perception, you notice that it is not the only one. I'm going to need everyone to roll for initiative.
does initiative count for disadvantage?
It is an ability check, technically speaking.
Well done.
That's fine.
So as you all roll for initiative and we get ready for combat, we're going to go ahead and pause there, as that brings us to the end of Project Crit Episode 1. We will see you all next time as these intrepid heroes, as to steal a phrase, kind of get closer to this clearly dangerous farmstead and whatever it may hold before it. We'll see you all next time.